Paying off debt early sounds responsible. It sounds mature, disciplined, like the adult thing to do. But what if that single decision is quietly costing you more money than the debt itself ever could? You could be making one financial choice every single month that feels smart on the surface while slowly slowing down the one thing that actually builds long-term wealth. And the strange part, almost nobody stops to check the math before they decide. Here's what nobody tells you. There's a number hiding behind every debt payoff decision, a number most people never calculate. And once you see it, you may never look at your monthly payment the same way again. I'm not going to tell you debt is good. I'm not going to tell you investing always wins either, because the truth is messier than that. But by the end of this video, you'll understand something that separates people who build real wealth from people who just feel like they're doing the right thing. This single decision, repeated over 10, 20, 30 years, can shift your financial future by tens of thousands of dollars. Sometimes more. Not because one choice is universally correct, but because most people never run the numbers at all. So let's start with the question you've probably asked yourself late at night. Maybe every extra paycheck leaves you staring at two numbers: your debt balance and your investment account. Maybe you've wondered which one deserves your next spare dollar. Maybe someone told you debt is always the enemy, pay it off, sleep better, get free. Or maybe someone else told you investing always wins. Let your money compound. Don't rush the debt. Both of those statements sound confident. Both of them get repeated constantly, and both of them ignore something important. If any of that sounds familiar, you're not alone. A lot of people carry a quiet guilt around debt, like it's a moral failing instead of a financial tool. A lot of people also feel pressure watching other accounts grow while theirs stays flat, wondering if they're falling behind. That fear of making the wrong move, that feeling of being overwhelmed by conflicting advice from every direction, that's exactly the space where bad financial decisions get made. Not because people are careless, but because nobody ever showed them how to actually think through it. Let's talk about why paying off debt early feels so good in the first place. There's a psychological relief that comes from watching a balance shrink. Every payment feels like progress. Every dollar off the principal feels like a weight lifting, and there's real value in that. Peace of mind is not nothing. When you eliminate a monthly payment, you free up cash flow. You reduce financial pressure. You remove risk. If your income ever drops, a paid-off loan can't come back to hurt you. That's a guaranteed benefit, not a maybe, a guarantee. Here's where things get interesting, though. That guarantee has a hidden cost, and it shows up the moment you compare it to what your money could have done somewhere else. Let's assume, hypothetically, you have a loan with a 5% interest rate. Paying it off early guarantees you save 5% on whatever amount you pay down. That's real. That's locked in. But what if, historically, a diversified long-term investment portfolio has averaged returns higher than 5% over multi-decade periods? If that's true, then every extra dollar you send toward that low-interest debt might be a dollar that could have grown faster somewhere else. This is opportunity cost, and it's the number most people never calculate. But something changes once you factor in risk. Investment returns aren't guaranteed. A 5% interest rate on your debt is locked in no matter what happens to the market next year. Your investment returns are not. Some years you might see strong gains. Other years, you might see losses. So the question isn't just which number is bigger on paper, it's how much uncertainty are you willing to carry in exchange for a potentially higher return. If you've ever stared at your debt balance wondering whether you're making the right move, subscribe now, because every week we break down financial decisions that quietly shape your future, using clear explanations instead of confusing jargon. Now let's go deeper, because there's another cost almost nobody notices. Let's assume, hypothetically, someone has a loan balance of $20,000 at a 4% interest rate, with 15 years remaining. If they pay an extra $300 a month toward that loan, they could realistically shave years off the payoff timeline and save a meaningful amount in total interest. That savings is real, guaranteed, and easy to calculate. Now let's assume, hypothetically, that same $300 a month goes into a long-term investment account instead, and historically averages a return somewhere in the range of 7 to 8% annually over a couple of decades. Compound growth over that kind of timeline can produce a noticeably larger total than the guaranteed interest saved on the 4% loan. Not guaranteed, not risk-free, but historically, over long stretches of time, that gap has tended to favor the invested dollar when the interest rate on the debt stays relatively low. That's the tension, a guaranteed smaller win on one side, a historically larger but uncertain win on the other. Interest rates matter enormously here. Not all debt is created equal. Hypothetically, imagine a loan sitting at 2 or 3% interest. Historically, that's often lower than long-term average investment returns. In that scenario, paying it off aggressively might mean giving up growth that could have outpaced the interest you're saving. Now imagine a different scenario, a loan sitting at 18 or 20% interest. That kind of rate is brutal. Almost no investment return can reliably outpace that consistently, especially after accounting for risk and taxes. In that case, paying it down aggressively isn't just emotionally satisfying, it's mathematically justified. This is where the good debt versus high interest debt distinction becomes critical. Lumping every loan into one category is where a lot of people go wrong. But even that isn't the biggest mistake people make. The biggest mistake is ignoring liquidity. Let's assume you throw every spare dollar at your debt. You pay it off years early. Congratulations, you're debt-free. But what if, 6 months later, an unexpected expense hits? A medical bill, a job loss, a major repair. If all your extra cash went into debt payoff, that money is now trapped inside the loan. You can't easily pull it back out. Meanwhile, if some of that money had gone into an investment account instead, even a conservative one, you might have had accessible funds to handle the emergency without going right back into debt. This is why financial flexibility matters just as much as the math on paper. Think about how that feels in real life. Imagine finally hitting zero on a loan you've carried for years. The relief is real. But then imagine an unexpected expense showing up right after and realizing every spare dollar you had is now locked inside a paid-off asset instead of sitting somewhere accessible. That's not a hypothetical designed to scare you. It's a pattern that shows up constantly, and it's exactly why some financial educators suggest keeping a cash cushion before aggressively attacking any low-interest debt, regardless of which side of this debate you lean toward. There's one assumption that completely flips the answer for a lot of people, and it's this: time horizon. If you're carrying debt but you're decades away from needing that money, compound growth has time to work in your favor. Small amounts invested consistently over enough years can grow into surprisingly large sums. Historically, patient long-term investing has rewarded people who stayed consistent through market ups and downs. But if your time horizon is short, if you're close to retirement, close to a major life change, the calculation shifts. Guaranteed debt payoff starts to look a lot more appealing when you don't have decades left to ride out market volatility. Let's also talk about something people rarely mention: taxes. Depending on the type of account you're investing through, some investment growth can be tax advantaged. Meanwhile, some debt interest may or may not be deductible depending on the type of loan and your personal tax situation. This isn't personalized tax advice, but it's a factor that can shift the math meaningfully, and it's worth understanding for your specific situation before making a decision. And then there's behavioral finance. The math might say one thing, your personality might say another. Some people, if they don't pay off debt aggressively, end up spending that extra money instead of investing it. For them, the guaranteed structure of debt payoff acts as a form of forced discipline. The math might technically favor investing, but if the discipline isn't there, the math never gets a chance to play out in real life. Other people are more disciplined. They can consistently invest extra income without touching it, letting compound growth work quietly in the background for years. For them, the math-driven approach may make more sense. Neither personality is wrong, but pretending everyone behaves the same way is exactly why this debate never gets resolved online. So, where does that leave you? The surprising part is this: the answer was never meant to be universal. It depends on your interest rate, your time horizon, your tolerance for risk, your need for liquidity, your tax situation, and honestly, your own behavior with money. What actually separates people who build wealth isn't which side of this debate they picked. It's whether they understood the trade-offs before they made the choice. Someone who pays off a high-interest loan aggressively because they ran the numbers is making an informed decision. Someone who invests everything because they understood their time horizon and risk tolerance is also making an informed decision. The danger isn't picking one path. The danger is picking a path because it felt right, without ever comparing it against the alternative. That's the real misconception. Not that one option is secretly better than the other, but that most people assume there's a single universal answer at all, when the honest answer has always depended on the specific numbers sitting in your own accounts. The next time you get an extra dollar, and you feel the pull to just throw it at your debt because that's what responsible people do, pause for a moment. Ask what interest rate you're actually paying. Ask what your money could realistically do elsewhere. Ask how much uncertainty you can live with. Because the real wealth-building skill was never about choosing debt or investing. It was always about learning to ask the right questions before you decide.